At the 2025 Academy Awards, the night unfolded with an unusual level of uncertainty. In recent years, films like Everything Everywhere All at Once and Oppenheimer dominated their respective award seasons, sweeping nearly every major category. However, the 2025 race could not have been more different. With Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Original Screenplay, Best Director, and Best Picture all up in the air, there were very few categories that felt like guarantees. Except for two.
And the Oscar goes to Zoe Saldaña.
And the Oscar goes to Kieran Culkin, A Real Pain.
Zoe Saldaña's win for Emilia, Pérez and Kieran Culkin's win for A Real Pain represent one of the most complicated sets of emotions you can experience during an award season. On one hand, there's joy in seeing both actors become Oscar winners, but then on the other hand, there's the undeniable frustration that both victories were secured unfairly. Saldaña's path to Oscar's gold was driven by a long overdue recognition of her 20-year career as a box office powerhouse, while Culkin's momentum stemmed from his Emmy-winning success on Succession and the industry's eagerness to reward him. While both of their performances are probably the best parts of their respective films, the real issue lies in their category placement. A Real Pain is a drama comedy about two estranged cousins who reunite for a trip to Poland, where they confront their family history and personal struggles. Kieran Culkin plays one of the cousins, who explores both humor and emotional depth as his character navigates grief, identity, and his complicated relationship with his cousin, played by Jesse Eisenberg. Despite being campaigned as supporting actor, Culkin has a near identical amount of screen time as the billed lead performance from Jesse Eisenberg. In fact, Culkin's 65% screen time in A Real Pain sets a new record for the highest percentage ever for a supporting actor winner. Emilia, Pérez is a musical crime drama about a Mexican drug cartel leader who undergoes gender transition in order to become their true self, but to simultaneously escape the cartel. Zoe Saldaña plays a lawyer for hire named Rita, who becomes entangled in Emilia's transformation, ultimately helping her to navigate her moral dilemmas and a reckoning for Emilia's past mistakes as she becomes deeply involved in Emilia's journey. As for Saldaña at the Oscars, her placement in the supporting actress category is even harder to justify than Kieran's. She appears in nearly 44% of Emilia, Pérez, more than the film's official lead Carla Sofia Gascon, who is on screen for nearly 40% of the runtime. This makes Saldaña's win one of the most blatant instances of category fraud in recent memory. Many people in the beginning of award season believed that Ariana Grande would eventually win awards over Zoe for her performance in Wicked, but she never did. Outside of a few critic circles, Ariana Grande essentially went unrewarded for Wicked Part 1, despite most people agreeing that they prefer Ariana's performance over Zoe's. But even as fantastic as Ariana is, she could not overcome Zoe's overdue narrative, and the Oscars were sadly no exception. The problem is that the Academy allows studios to push actors into supporting categories, despite having leading roles, to increase their odds of winning an Oscar. Studios prioritize winning over fairness, strategically placing actors where they have the best shot at an Oscar, rather than where they truly belong. Not only do lead actors placed in supporting categories often overshadow the more genuine supporting performances, but they make it harder for actual supporting actors to get recognition. Rising actors or character actors who genuinely fit the supporting category are often pushed out by bigger names whose presence appear at the top of a call sheet. The problem is that the Academy has no strict guidelines defining what separates a lead from a supporting role. This ambiguity gives studios the freedom to manipulate category placement, creating an unfair playing field. This year, the consequences of category fraud are especially obvious in the Best Supporting Actress race. Fellow nominee Isabella Rossellini appears in less than 7% of Conclave, yet she's competing in the same category as Zoe Saldaña, who is on screen for nearly half of Emilia, Pérez. The disparity is glaring, and it highlights just how unregulated and inconsistent the system has become. The 2025 Academy Awards will now forever stand out as a year where lead performances dominated every acting category. It was not a question of who was the best performance, but who had the most screen time. And it feels inherently unfair to both the actors winning and the other actors who essentially don't stand a chance against the same performances. I have grown very annoyed during the 2025 award season watching Kieran Culkin and Zoe Saldaña completely dominate every award show to a degree where next to no one else in both respective categories was recognized. Zoe and Kieran both won the Screen Actors Guild, BAFTA, Critics' Choice, Golden Globe, and finally the Oscar, so both of them winning everywhere was very anticlimactic. 2025 in particular had some seriously strong contenders in both supporting categories who, in my opinion, deserve the Oscars more if the categories weren't so rigged in the favor of the co-lead performances. Am I happy that Kieran Culkin and Zoe Saldaña both won Oscars? I guess. I'm not fond of how they won them. I'm generally not fond of people winning this way anytime it happens. The lack of enthusiasm around their wins signals to me that the Academy should invest some thought into implementing guidelines around what classifies as a lead versus a supporting performance. At present, Academy voters have the personal autonomy to decide which category an actor is nominated in based on their personal interpretation of the performance, which to me just means they pick who they like and they put them where they see fit, which is nonsensical. The obvious reason the Academy doesn't want to change this is that it alienates previous performances that won the supporting categories that exceeded whatever hypothetical new guidelines the Academy implements. While I understand the hesitancy, I think allowing the acting category guidelines to remain as a Wild West for studios to exploit seems like the least apt way to award the best performance in a category on any given year. It makes for a piss-poor award season when you can easily predict the acting categories based on some unfair advantage or outright category fraud. In all honesty, supporting actors should have gone to Yura Borisov for Anora or to Guy Pearce for The Brutalist. Jeremy Strong in The Apprentice was arguably the best part of that film, and he essentially got no recognition for it. I'm even surprised Edward Norton went unrecognized during the entire award season for A Complete Unknown, despite now being 0 for 4 on Oscar nominations. And Margaret Qualley should have been nominated in Best Supporting Actress for The Substance, and won over every other nominee. Margaret was the hands-down best performance of The Substance, and she basically carries the last half hour of the movie, and it's genuinely sad that she wasn't even nominated, as she simultaneously watches Demi Moore gobble up award season for the same movie. Had Margaret been nominated, Zoe sweeping might not have been as easy as it was. Winning a career award Oscar is one thing, but to win a career Oscar for a heavily disliked film when you are also in the wrong category just does not make anyone involved look good. Most people can agree that wins like these leave behind a bad taste. Supporting performances are meant to enhance the story's leads, with their screen time being distinct but not dominant. Their role should serve the plot in relation to the protagonists, but without overshadowing them. By that definition, Zoe Saldaña's supporting actress win for Emilia Pérez is indefensible. She appears in more of the film than its supposed lead Carla Sofia Gascon, and we learn more about her character Rita than we do about Emilia Pérez herself. That alone exposes the absurdity of her being categorized as a supporting actress. The film opens with Zoe, and the film ends with Zoe as well. The reality is simple. If Zoe and Kieran had been submitted in the leading categories, neither of them would have been nominated. That fact alone raises the question, why would anyone want to win this way, knowing they only won because of a loophole? Everyone in Hollywood wants an Oscar, and with more films than ever being released each year, competition is fierce, making it difficult to narrow down just 5 performances per category. But bypassing that challenge by forcing yourself into a category where you don't belong isn't just unfair, it's dishonest. It's a scorched earth approach to winning a tiny golden man, and at what cost? Throughout its nearly 100-year history, the Academy has both indirectly and directly atoned for its past missteps. In 2002, the Academy finally acknowledged animation as a legitimate art form with the introduction of the Best Animated Feature category. The Best Picture category was expanded in 2009 after The Dark Knight's infamous snub. Next year, in 2026, the Oscars will take another step forward by introducing Best Casting, and hopefully eventually Best Stunts won't be too far behind. But when breaking down the structure of a film, how each character functions within the world and plot, there are clear ways to distinguish a lead performance from a supporting one. If the Academy Awards exist to honor the best achievements in filmmaking, then it is in their best interest to uphold that mission by implementing clearer guidelines for acting categories. I'm happy for Kieran Culkin and Zoe Saldaña, but when we look back at the 2025 Academy Awards, their wins will likely be among the least interesting parts of the ceremony. At the end of the day, the Academy Awards remain the adult equivalent of making a Christmas list as a kid. You'll get some of what you wanted, but never everything you're hoping for.